Well, hello. How is everyone? I hope you're well. You're amazing, beautiful, wonderful people. It is Friday. I'm quite confident it's Friday. Thank Crunchy, it's Friday. Anyway, you're looking absolutely amazing. We're going to get straight into the meat and potatoes. Or if you're into, I don't know, tofu. You know, we've got to cover everyone nowadays because we don't want to get cancelled because we're not involved in inclusivity. Talking about inclusivity, make sure that you include a like and a subscribe because we're heading towards the echelons of 100 subscribers. That's amazing. You're amazing. Anyway, let's get on with it because what do we got? We've got some more information on those two. Those two that appear that every time something new comes out, they look even more sketchy. And who am I talking about? I'm talking about the surviving roommates, of course, Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk. And look, this ain't a hate track. This ain't a hate track. It's just that you have to go where the evidence takes you. You have to talk about things. And I'm going to ask you a question later on in this video, and I want you to be honest, absolutely honest, because I think that it's a question that needs to be addressed. I think that is valid, it's viable, and I think if you answer it a certain way, then you're lying to yourself. Or you're lying because, again, it don't fit in with a specific narrative, and to ignore it helps you to, I don't know, compartmentalize what is actually happening in this case and makes you feel better. Or perhaps you just like being part of the crowd or sheep. Anyway, let's get into this doc. Because this is what we're talking about. This is what we're talking about. And this is a nuts one. This is nuts. Not like the old magazine, not like that sort of nuts. But this is a dockler. Amended notice of filing declaration in support of defendant's objection to the state's motion in limine, referencing the text messages and testimony. You know, if you know, you know. That is with respect of what have we heard recently about. Let me just refresh that and that'll reformat it. We've seen loads of text messages, haven't we? So the frozen shock phase, they're going to sleep. We know that that was utter bollocks. They weren't asleep. They weren't frozen. They were messaging consistently. They were messaging between each other. They were trying to ring. They were trying to communicate externally to the house. And why is that important? It's important because we have to try and ascertain whether they knew what happened in this house. And if they knew what had happened in this house, why didn't they do the one thing that even a 5-year-old would have done? And that is to call 911 and get fucking help. Because look, and again, that's going to play into something in a minute because maybe that stupidity led them, because of that stupidity, to do something as equally, if not more stupid, that proves some guilt somewhere along the line. But again, stick a pin in it. Let's look at this and what are we talking about? So this comes now. Bryan C. Kohberger, son of Michael Kohberger, recently seen. If you didn't watch that video yesterday, watch it. Watch it. Gloves, mask, Hoover, pajamas, fashion disaster. But he's being watched like a zoo animal, which is wrong. Says, buying through his attorneys of record and hereby files the accompanying declaration of Josiah Roloff, or Roloff, I like Roloff better, in support of their objection to the state's motion in limine referencing text message and testimony filed with the court on March 17th, 2025. And who is this guy, I hear you say? Who is he? Josiah, we'll call him Jay. Jay, he's over 18 and competent to testify in this manner. So he's an adult. I am currently the president and senior digital forensics examiner of Roloff Digital Forensics LLC, private digital forensics firm headquartered in Spokane. I think it's Spokane, Washington. My firm provides digital forensic services and consulting in legal matters involving electronic evidence. I'm not going to read all of this. Including evidence derived from computers, phones, memory cards, other electronics devices, data sets, and third-party electronic service providers. In a nutshell, this guy is the tits when it comes to digital examination of data sent, received from phones, tablets, all that sort of thing. So if you send a picture message or send a video because you've seen something or you want to show something to someone and then you delete it, this guy's your man if you want to try and retrieve that. And he's done so for multiple people, including the military. So this guy knows what he's doing. And yeah, he's the tits at it. But this is where it gets really interesting, right? So it says, I've been retained. That means that he's been contacted. They've rung him up and said,
"Oi, roll off. We need your help, mate. We need your help. We need you to look at some stuff."
And he's gone,
all right, cheers, star boy.
And that's what he's done. Right. He's been retained a digital forensic examiner, DFE, to assist Ms. Ann Taylor and the defence team in the Idaho versus Kohberger, Bryan Kohberger case. I've reviewed the documents titled DM 1113 bubble format and BM 1113 bubble format, which contain data extracted from mobile devices used by individuals identified as DM and BM respectively. We know who they are. I think it's a little bit pointless at this stage. We know who these people are. Not hiding people. We know. These documents reflect periods of activity on the mobile devices that would require user interaction with the device for them to occur, specifically for the date of November 13th, 2022. So what he's basically saying is here that you can't get out and say, well, I didn't do it, phone did it itself. I was doing something else and the phone just up sticks and started doing stuff itself. It was walking about, taking photos, taking videos, nothing to do with me. I was frozen. I was in frozen shock phase. My phone, blame the phone. Can't blame me. That's what he's saying here. No, you did it. The phone actually was being touched up by someone. The documents include artifacts and content demonstrating a variety of user interactions, including, that means that there's other stuff. This list is not exhaustive. It just includes this. Incoming and outgoing native text messages. So that means if you've got an iPhone, iMessage. So actual using the phone system to text, not going through a third-party application. Incoming and outgoing Snapchat message artifacts indicated by the application identifier, toy, that peekaboo thing. That's the parent company of Snapchat. If you don't know, that's like that's just part of the group. So Snapchat message artifacts indicated by the application identifier. So, and what do we hear? What do we hear about Snapchat? Way back when, there was rumor that there was indeed communication exclusively on Snapchat, and this had started around 8:30, which would go hand in hand with Bethany Funk, who, when we looked at the original document, there was communication going around that sort of time. So it brings into question, folks, how much of that early information was actually, it weren't lies, it weren't bollocks. And so many people turn around and said, no, lies. And again, that question's coming soon. So we go on to this. Voice and video calls conducted via Snapchat and the native phone dialer. So again, video calls, voice and video calls conducted via Snapchat and the native phone dialer. So this Snapchat, who were they calling on Snapchat? Video calls on Snapchat. Why was it a video call? Is it because it's a video call that you're showing people? Remember, opens up the camera, check this shit out. Look what's happened here.
Look what them fat boys have done.
And the native phone dialer. Creation. So create something. They've made something. And look, we're not talking about fucking origami, are we? But they've created something. That means they've created a picture. They've created a video. And then guess what? They've modified it. Modification. Why would you create something inside that house and then modify it? What are you modifying? Are you putting arrows to it? Are you circling things on it? Check this out. Look at that. And deletion. Why would you then delete it? Now, Snapchat will automatically delete things. Now, was that the purpose of using Snapchat? Did they think that when you upload something and then it automatically disappears, that is then gone forever? Guess what? Fuck no. Not when this guy's about. Not when J-Boy's about. He's going to retrieve it. And you could be in the shit. And the native phone dialer. No, I read that again. So, creation, modification, and delete of multimedia files such as images and videos. So, not just images, but videos too. So, they are creating and deleting images and videos. Images and videos. Application usage logs showing when specific apps were open and closed, internet browsing artifacts, and cookie data showing access to particular websites or internet-based services. Ooh, now what could this be? This is the interesting bit because it's talking about cookies, and we're not talking about them nice ones with chocolate chips inside them. We're talking about the footprint. So when you start looking around, people can look at what you've been looking at and what were you searching. What were you searching? How to get a van's footprint out of my fucking doorway, for instance. Things like that. Look, again, this ain't a hate track. This is just about information comes out that makes people look dodgy. Now, this is the question that I've got for you, and I want you to ask honestly, right? And I know it's difficult because if you don't have skin in the game, it can sort of dampen your feelings towards something, and it's very easy to give people a pass. But imagine your child has died in a house, right? Died in a house alongside others, but there's two people who live. They live through it, right? They live through it. But your child, no, not so lucky. Originally, you're told that, well, they were asleep. They didn't know what was going on. They might have seen something, but they didn't know what was going on. They were frozen, so all scared and stuff. You subsequently find out that they were, in fact, awake, not frozen, awake, and not only that, but they were communicating. And then later on, you find out that that communication included trying to communicate to their parents, trying to communicate to people externally to the property. Not law enforcement, but they were taking videos, they were taking photographs, and then they were deleting them as well. Are you telling me that you wouldn't at least be looking at these two and thinking, hold on a second, what the fuck actually was going on here? What did you know and what didn't you know before that 911 call was made? And bearing in mind that a fucking 5-year-old can pick up the phone and dial 911 when they feel that something's not right, why did they not? Let me know down below, because this don't look good. This doesn't look good. And that ain't just me saying it for the sake of saying it. This doesn't look good. Love you all. Oh.